Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks in a very spooky season where today we're going to be taking a look at a match of Beyond All Reason. Didn't mean to make that rhyme, but you know it must be true because of it, where today Spawning is our blue team leader as a Cortex commander and dressing for the holidays. It's gonna be none other than Baristo. 25.99 open skill, just 0.1 open skill away, sorry, 0.01 open skill away from that coveted 26 open skill. It means that Baristo here has it all on the line for us as we dive into this match here today. I was thrilled to see that the Pumpkins update is here. The fall update has arrived, and we are ready to get into that spooky season. I'm a big fan of Halloween. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I certainly tend to enjoy this time of year. It's also when things get a little colder, and as a big guy myself, I tend to appreciate the cold, right? It's when I can finally slip back to my jeans and my sweatpants and my comfy t-shirts and sweatshirts and whatnot. Yeah, definitely one of my favorites. Not to mention all the candles. I'm a sucker for a good scented candle. Spawning all the way on the other side here. Spawning on the bottom left-hand side. It's our Red Armada commander, looking very witchy today. Looking witchin'. Downright witchin'. Heard somebody say that today. Just knew I had to copy it. Gonna be going ahead and spawning as a good old-fashioned Armada con. Today's map, of course, going to be none other than Carrot Mountains version 2.0. It's a map that I absolutely adore, and I think it's a wonderful way to kick off this new patch that brings around our spookiest and scariest of commanders out here to the front lines here. Ah, look at that. That looks beautiful, right? In orange, too, so we got the beautiful orange fall colors. I love that. Isn't that just wonderful? Anyways. Enough gawking at the beautiful models in this game. By the way, I did hear a little birdie whispered in my ear that apparently, I mean, this is probably not a surprise to most of you, but apparently Armada is in the works for a little bit of a skin rework. Yeah. Apparently some of these models going to be touched up a little bit here. We do see the Green Commander sending a Finch across the field here to try and scout out the red team. Lovely stuff indeed. From our Green Commander, who's going to be up in the air apparently, as we do have this scout plane getting a wonderful view of exactly what's going on in the back line, and of course also revealing any weak spots that might be available here for units to go around and start harassing, so that's very nice to see. Yeah, apparently Armada's getting a little bit of a skin change up. I don't know exactly what that means, obviously, and it is, at this point, essentially hearsay, but I wouldn't be surprised, right? Cortex has been receiving a bunch of updates. They've gotten a bunch of visual updates in some of their units. The Shiva, the Thug, all those units that now look fantabulous. Wouldn't be surprised to see Armada getting some of the same love here eventually, right? One of those things in a development that's based around volunteer work, essentially. It's one of those things that's difficult to get organized and, well, out and running very, very easily, but I wouldn't mind it. We've also had an update to the soundtrack, which is really cool. Glad to see the soundtrack has gotten a little bit of an update. We have some more OST coming out here. Very, very nice stuff. In fact, what are we listening to now? Looks like it's going to be Leon Devreux, who is a fabled Beyond All Reason composer, and apparently we're listening to Under Empty Skies. Let me know if you like it or not in the comment section down below. You can take a tour of the Discord channel as well if you're interested in that sort of a thing as we get underway in this match. We are taking an extra long time on the intro here today because Carrot Mountains is a gigantic map. This map is tremendous. You can see the rush distance is huge. We finally have some of the first ticks making their way across. There were a couple earlier, but they were cleaned up nicely. The first ticks that are actually, yeah, there you go, signs of a tick that was here. Oh no. APM stall here for Starboard. Starboard loses the ticks that made it in the back line. Probably could have sniped this Mex. Maybe would have been able to move it into the back line right here of Zomiriad. Zomiriad? Our yellow commander. A couple of fighters actually flying in here. Going to try and snipe a... looks like they're going to go after a Con. There it is. Yeah, Con is over here. Oh, there's two of them actually. Yeah, that's a prime target right there. Con will be shot at. Ooh, coming around. Oh, he's shot down before the Con goes down. What a save right there. That's a flying ace. Beautifully done right here by this pink fighter, this Valiant, that manages to shoot down the enemy fighters before they kill the constructors. Because obviously, as a air commander, losing one of these constructors, super, super annoying. Very energy expensive to build, and when you have a couple of them on the front line, you need to keep them around. Not on the front line, rather, but when you build a couple of them up and you use them for scaling and whatnot, you need to keep them around so you can continue scaling. But my goodness, this is a giant gaping hole in the middle of the map right here, and it looks like we've kind of misunderstood where the lines are meant to be drawn, because green, Starboard here at 26 open skill, has all the space in the world to just continue putting on a bunch of pressure, and I would love to see these ticks continue moving forward. What are we supposed to do here is really the question, right? The answer, I think, is that Morbius really shouldn't just be sitting on this low ground. I think Morbius needs to shift upwards here, try and connect with Bendoroboros. There we
Commander,
go. It's Ouroboros and
self-destructed.
Bender. Bite my shiny metal ass. Or so they say. We're eventually going to reclaim the tick over here. Okay, not bad. Little bit of a clash over here as well. But yeah, you know what I mean? This is great. We have the LLTs all set up over here. We've even got the cons, so we can start upgrading these defenses. Going for like an HLT in the middle here, maybe even some lightning turrets. All things I don't mind to see. But now Morbius is going to shift up north here towards these metal extractors. And I think that's the right idea here. I think Cairo next, the red commander, is doing a great job with the run-by now, finding some opportunity to move in here. Taking a wonderful fight against a bunch of these units, 1 versus like 10. You can get rid of all the vehicles here. Yeah, there we go. You can see, yeah, about 10 units in the mix right now for the red commander. Going to go ahead and run on by. Wouldn't have minded seeing just sniping the medium tanks, right? If you snipe these medium tanks, you get a resbot out here to reclaim all that. It's going to be a huge value for you. But I think it's worth zooming out here for a second just to have a look at exactly what these lines look like. So you can see there's this giant opening right now into the back line for the blue team. There's all these different run-by paths where you can just send units through this midsection that's essentially unguarded. What I really think should have happened is that the red commander should have moved up to here and then moved northward and tried to block off this section of the map. I think the brown commander should have just gone directly up this way and met with the maroon commander, who should have held this line. And then we have yellow and tan up here, right? I think that's probably the better spread for how this match has turned out here. Nicely for the blue team, though, not the case, as they will have plenty of opportunity to go ahead and send in a couple of run-bys right there. Nice snipe from the pawns to manage to break through the front line. They'll manage to kill the constructor, and obviously that's a huge benefit, because with the constructor down, it means the expansion also halts. A couple of shuriken actually coming out to, well, coming out to paralyze these, and then also the pawns falling up to actually kill all of them. Shuriken's only half of the battle, right? You do also need something to actually kill any of these. Yeah, pawns kind of veered off course here. Didn't go for the easy damage, the guaranteed damage against the mexes or the cons or anything like that. And that's a little unfortunate. I think that probably would have been a bit better here for the red commander. Still, though, not the end of the world, right? Karanek setting up some beamer turrets here. A little bit more expensive than the LLTs, but also quite a bit more effective, as we've got a growing army on the southern side. Jonathan B. building up a formidable force of thugs. In fact, it's all thugs. Thug walking their way towards the front, or making a wall out of themselves here. Nearly 2,000 metal worth of units on the front, and I think it's time for a purple commander to go ahead and send pace forward. We are also critically lacking the resbots to sustain all this. So what you really want is 5 or so resbots at this point. And what that'll allow you to do is push in with these thugs, get a bunch of value, trade out really nicely, and then once everything has sort of died down, or you've broken the front line, you can either reclaim all the metal, or you can resurrect all the metal, and then you can use it again to continue the push on the front lines. And a map as big and wide open as this, there's plenty of room to make use of all that space. What a weird standoff we have going here. King James 890 going up against Cairo next in the middle of the map here, I suppose. Big old Centurion brawl. Will result in the red victory here, as we do have the numbers to sustain that. Vehicle lab coming up on the front line as well. A very popular strategy, setting down the early, or not early, but the front line aggressively placed vehicle lab, just to make sure there's something in place in order to continue expanding from the fronts. LLT set up here by Bender Ouroboros. The frontline army looking quite nice as well. We have loads of Centurions, and of course the rocket bots are going to be huge here as well. LLT actually is denied by Starboard, who's now faced with the same open area that they were once aggressing through. Quite ironically, that has suddenly become a giant pain here for the Green Commander, who now has to defend that giant area, and is realizing just how giant that area is indeed. We've got a massive surface area, so without LLTs or anything like that to stop it, you're going to be in a pretty rough way. Little bit of aggression right here from the Tan Commander, pushing in and trying to get some value. Baristo in a little bit of trouble, but the thugs not really being microed here as much as I would like to see them. LLTs blasting them down, of course, and defending thugs also going to be in a wonderful way. Advanced metal extractors coming up here as we are ready to take it to T2. Baristo in range for the D-gun. Nice kill right there. Manages to cleave 3 of those down, and a 4th will stay up and running. I guess we're just going to kill this one for the metal, try and farm it, basically. Okay. I mean, obviously, I don't... Oh, ew, that was a bit of a waste. I don't mind it, right? If you try and extract that metal, it's well worth it. Of rascals making their way across, or rovers rather, making their way across, trying to find some value. And again, I think we're sort of locked in this stalemate, right, where neither team is really sure what to do, but this is exactly what I like to see. Starboard earning the MVP in my heart anyways for managing to find these little run-by paths and sending a bunch of units through. Oftentimes, this is the easiest thing to lose sight of when you're playing a big AV8 game like this, and it's the easiest way to get a bunch of value, is you just send units through and try and do your very best to do a little bit of damage with them. In this case, you can see the pawns move in, and as they move in, they're able to come across metal extractors or whatever else and do a bunch of damage. The shuriken here not being microed against. Typically, you want to group up against a shuriken. They can only paralyze one thing at a time. Oh, nice catch here. A bunch of E-converters explode. Actually does a ton of damage to the commander. Oh, and we're going to get the constructor too. Oh, nice save actually from the shuriken. 4% HP, but it's only the last one that matters. The shuriken manages to save the day. Or so we thought. Oh no. Oh, he still manages to get the con. Okay. It may seem little right there, but that con was basically what was needed on this front line. Oh, we have another con, so maybe not the end of the world, but those cons were basically meant to fortify this front here. The Brown Commander has been trying to hold desperately, and now Chironex is moving into position here. I don't know, we've got a weird overlap from the red team, whereas the blue team feels much better spread out. Gunslingers on the front, super deadly. Those T2 Cowboys trying to shoot those shuriken down with their little plasma slingers. Technically, one of those units that technically can fire plasma up into the air and hit air units. Yeah, we need a little bit of anti-air. Those shuriken are scary. Oh, gunslingers get paralyzed. Oh, no. No anti-air available here is atrocious. No anti-air means all of a sudden both of those gunslingers go down for effectively a T1 army, right? I mean, this is just thugs. There's just mass thugs right here for the blue commander. A little pause right there.
Started.
Big old run by over here. Apparently some calligraphics detailing exactly the plan here. The green commander apparently a little bit more concerned about this than anybody else, but alright. Laser's going to be quite a bit more accurate at shooting down those shuriken whenever they do come within range. Mexes are falling all over the place here. LLT is in position, though, to intercept any of this, so at the very least there's some crude defenses. There's not defenses against the very back here, though. Yeah, definitely room to sneak some units in and do a little bit of damage. Not to mention the Mexes available here to the green commander who's gone into air. This should be a good read for the tank commander, that if we're in the back line and if the green commander is here, then that's going to be the green air forces we've seen all over the place, and that's why we will want to push in that direction. Instead, we're just going to idle the units back here, and that breaks my heart. We have a fat boy, ever so slowly trudging his way towards the front line. I'll see you in 3.5 years when this bad boy makes it up to the front. If we're gonna go for a backline fat boy, I feel like you desperately need to get a transport. And in fact, I do see one here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, nice. Transport headed over here for the yellow commander. I'm glad to see it because obviously this fat boy's just gonna take ages before it manages to actually get anywhere important if you don't move it via air transport, via, you know, air. Who is this? Who's our air player here? Air Brontime. Dark Champion. Okay. We've got some very interesting music. I'm trying to get into it. Some of them are bangers. Some of them are not like that. King James 890. Fighting a difficult fight here, as we are spread across two different front lines effectively. Has enough units to thwart this, or at the very least halt it. For a little while. Oh! That was a juicy friendly fire connection right there. Yeah, King James is pretty confident after seeing that connection. Now the pawns are dead. All of a sudden, all you really have left is the bulk of this composition. As long as you spread out, those Janus aren't going to do too much. Sharpshooter in position to help out here as well. Not bad. Do we pull the trigger or do we wait for further reinforcements? We have the T2 lab up and running. Sharpshooters continuing to come out here. I think sprinters might be a better option, though. Oh, Janus. Oh, there's a fat boy. Well, okay, there we go. Fat boy gonna lob hot globules across the map here and land him directly in the face of this T1 army. And after that, there's not much else you can really do. Yep, spread out pawns gonna do fabulously here. Shuriken also thinking about getting into the battle here. And despite the pawn's lackluster performance, I think it's going to be more than enough to clean all this up. A decent bit of damage, and honestly, I would have liked to see this T1 army just retreat and be recycled, rather than just thrown to the wayside here. But it's going to be a wonderful day for the Cyan commander. He's going to get to eat all this metal up. Going to be a delicious boon to the economy. Beamer turrets helping out here as well from the green commander, and we have the Centurion The last remaining hero marching forward right now is it will get blown to smithereens by the shurikens and the sharpshooters. Okay. Fighters cleaned up quite nicely. I love that they were in position to try and help with the shuriken, but of course, flying into the enemy air wall does leave you pretty exposed. My goodness, so much T1 still. We're already up into T2, and we still have so much T1. Look at that. We're completing our 6th T2 metal extractor. Oh, no, actually, we didn't upgrade the backline. Okay. Red Commander a little bit behind on the upgrades then. Not the end of the world. I'm going to go ahead and skip this one. This one's making me, like, uneasy a little bit. Scimitar here, the orange commander, going for those T2 mexes on the front. I wouldn't mind a pit bull here. If you're just going to fort up this front line, then a pit bull or two can definitely help shore things up. Easily clear out the T1 and can definitely help with T2 as well, of course. Sharpshooters firing away here. Being built by the blue commander, at the very least handed over to the blue commander. Thugs on the high ground, though. Man, so much range, so much damage. That is rough. Nice D-gun from Baristo. That was a killer D-gun right there. There's about 5 of those sumos going down for just 500 energy. That was a killer shot. Managing to weaken this all up quite badly. And those sumos are also without energy, so none of this is really firing appropriately. Suddenly, this is a really tricky situation. Actually, have a scout plane that's been shot down nicely by the anti-air here. Learned our lesson and decided to include a little bit of anti-air so shurikens can't shuttle this down. Transport's trying to move some of these units forward. The sharpshooters desperately need to start targeting down that good old-fashioned fat boy. They are landing connections, but it's going to take quite a few before they're actually able to kill that, and in the meantime, the thugs from the tank commander have pushed in. Now, if we wanted to cement this, I think we do need res bots. I do see them for the tank commander here. Flurps doing a great job of reclaiming a bunch of this metal, using the sumos and thugs for cover while we send in the res bots to go ahead and have a wonderful feast. Even if the res bot goes down, it only needs to reclaim for a couple of seconds to pay itself off. It's very efficient. Another fat boy making its way up to the front here, airlifted to the front. Oh, the friendly fire is atrocious on fat boys. Same as the Tsar, where it has the same issue of shooting its own toes off. Stole that strategy straight out of the Cortex playbook. Frontline T2 lab, very aggressive. Might be doable, though. Fiends are really the ideal unit we're going to go for here. Yep, 200 metal to build a ball of fire and fury. Lob it towards the enemy, and maybe you get a juicy self-destruct as well in order to, yeah, shut a whole bunch of this down. Oh, no, self-D. Okay. Spybot's also not a bad idea. The fat boy's in position to rain covering fire as well, and all, I think, is well. Mammoth's coming out of the back here as well for the pink commander. Killuminati, the pink commander here at 10 open skill from Canada. Going to be showing us what they've got. Who is going for the juicy eco-scaling, though? It looks like our Seafoam Green Commander has decided to start up at least one of those advanced fusion reactors. We're thinking about T3 here as well. A little bit early, in my opinion, but... I mean, 17 minutes in the game isn't early for a T3 rush, but this hasn't really been a rush, right? We've seen units, we've seen all sorts of stuff. Transports moving units around all over the place. I love to see that, right? I feel like transports have been kind of criminally underrated for the longest time. Glad to see them finally getting their day in the sun. Everybody here sort of holding the line. I love what King James has done here. King James 890, my goodness. I'm struggling for words. Had one too many drinks today, apparently. Shuriken. Still so effective, man. There's nothing really quite like the Shuriken in the game for units that just maintain so much of their value, even into the T3 late game. The Shuriken really is unmatched in that category. Welders in position to help out here. Lovely stuff from the tank commander, but nice self-Ds. We're going ahead and blowing up the entire laboratory for the tan commander, and that is the risk you run of putting that frontline lab well on the front line all of a sudden. One fatal explosion or a little bit of friendly fire and your entire production base is shut down here, and suddenly the tank commander is forced to deal with that. Luckily, we do have the support from the yellow commander, but it's just only so much. And we're going to take a little bit more than just fat boys in order to deal with this. Love the hound spam right now. Hound's going to counter the fat boys nicely, as long as they're not grouped up here. And the Sheldon, of course, just doing Sheldon things, firing away from miles and miles out. The fat boys are now completely pushed back. The blue side turning sides here, as we do see now the blue leaders taking control. We could move down south and try and sweep away some more of this as well. No LLTs or anything down here. So it is a giant open lane. The reason why scouting is so crucially important here. So much reclaim available here as well. We have the T1 lab. We do have resbots up and running. I think Starbird's thinking about it. Tactical missile launcher coming up and running here. But really, the major engagement is happening on this northern side. Flurps, cloaked right here, fires off the D-gun, revealing themselves, but doesn't get a single one of those hounds, or maybe got a single one of those hounds. And just like that, that commander's in a whole bunch of trouble. Those hound projectiles are fast enough that they can't really... I mean, the hound can't, or the commander can't really hide. And just like that, it does fall. Sheldon making quick work here now of the LLTs and advanced metal extractors. Hardly any build power for the tank commander, as this fusion reactor that was almost done will fall here. The perils of making too much eco. The Shuriken coming out, okay. The Shuriken were expecting to catch a lot more combat units than constructors, but you know what? You can't be a beggar when you're not a chooser. Shuriken's paralyzing a bunch of wind turbines. That is, I mean, just dastardly. Shuriken's in the back line as now we shut down a bunch of wind turbines for some reason. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's the best use of Shuriken I've ever seen, but it's certainly a unique use of Shuriken, and for that you definitely earn some points in my book. Fighters eventually dispatched to clean all this up. Eventually they will do, but not before the Hounds have already made it effectively well into the back line. No anti-air, I will note here, for the green commander, so Shuriken from the red team are certainly a viable option, rather. Welders easily blasting down a bunch of these pawns and ticks and whatnot. Bombers headed overhead. Heavy bombs away here as we manage to take out the sharpshooters on the ridge. Medium tanks and blitzes pushing forward here. Now the cyan blue base is in trouble. Heavy bombers continuing their assault. Looks like Starbird's in trouble next. Bombers converging on the base here. Will go for a little bit of a... Oh, it's a little bit of a strafing run. Okay. Missed the laboratory here, and we do have another target, but the fighters are too far behind, and just like that, the bombers are shot down. Yikes. Oh, that could have been a killer bombing run right there, but unfortunately the fighters just were nowhere to be found. I'm sure the blue commander's happy, though. Seeing those bombers shut down before they actually managed to get to the base is wonderful, of course, and you always have the inevitability of those bombers taking out your Sheldon as well, if eventually they find him on the fronts. Bombers tend to be one of the best counters to Sheldon, especially for commanders that have just refused to build any kind of anti-air. We got mass tick spawn, or mass pawn spawn, rather. Heading up in the back line here. Just massive wind turbine energy. Not particularly great on this map, but we do have the fusion reactors as well, which supplement it well enough, I guess, that it doesn't really matter. The hero medium tanks managing to make it through. The hero that could. Yeah, that's the tank that really tried its best. Are we actually gonna get it? Oh, just don't tell me that we're gonna get it. Where did that shot come from? Oh, the Basilisk over here. My goodness. Firing out for miles to try and take this guy down. Oh, he gets it, but kills the metal extractor too. Well, ultimately ends up being effectively a moot point. Oh, red spy bot is detected there. Blue army now beset upon here by a whole bunch of those pawns. All the pawns being spammed out by the yellow laboratory. Pawn spam, certainly effective here against the Sheldon ball. Ultimately, what we're going to need are sumos. Sumos or mammoths will shut this down like a knife through hot butter. It's the wrong way of saying that, but that actually still works. New phrase invented. Demons, however, not going to be a bad choice. Okay, this is actually kind of banger music. We'll turn it up for a second so we can all have a listen. if the... Sorry, 1 second. If the Pumpkin King following around his demon mech isn't badass enough for you, I really don't know what it is. I really don't know what it's gonna be. Because that's about as epic as I think Bar gets. Watching those Hero T3 units break down the lines. That is pretty cool. Okay, the music is growing on me. It's certainly growing on me. This demon could totally get into the action here and just win this fight. Pawns aren't going to stand a chance. The dual... It's actually the quad flamethrowers on the demon. A lot of people say it's a dual flamethrower, but there's actually 2 per arm. It's a quad flamethrower system with also the exhaust vented upwards for speed. Of course, if you, you know, needed to increase the airflow, you can paint it blue, but if you need to increase the damage or speed, you paint it red. This one's painted green, which I believe is for luck, I want to say. I know purple is for stealthiness, for sneaky beakiness. I can't remember what green is, though. I want to say green is for yeah, good luck. It might be speed, too. I can't remember, though. Meanwhile, T3 also pushing on the southern side here. Mammoths were doing great. Cargonets are doing better. Although I will say charging them head first into their hard counter is questionable at best. 0% HP left on the Banisher. Means it can still fire, means it can still work. Still do a ton of damage. Yeah, Cargonets are so good. Especially if you can get the Cargonet into a position where they can actually fire at whatever you want them to. I'm talking about putting them up on a hillside or something where they have verticality so they can target the right target. Here you can see their missiles sort of derping out and hitting the tank corpses. Heavy tanks eventually falling. And the Mammoths continuing to waddle forward. Demons and Shiva. Shiva and demons.
Commander destroyed.
The dead commander, apparently. I guess we have a bunch of hounds sniping the commander. Oops. Optic Seagull definitely paying attention to the epic units on the front line, not really paying attention to the commander that just happened to be lingering behind and eating up the corpses.
Battle paused.
Love the fighters being shot down here by the
started.
demons, though. That's wonderful. And we've got ourselves a good old-fashioned little bit of a base race. A little yin-yang situation with the blue team winning this northern side and trying to break through the ever-encroaching wall of welders. Sheldons and ticks and all sorts of other creation. While the southern side is continually pushed in here by Cargonets and Mammoths and all sorts of other high-power, high-tech stuff here coming out from the pink commander. Now there is a Razorback down here. So at the very least, the Razorback will be what stands largely in the way here of this Cargonet's progression. Not to mention the overarching firepower here from the Sheldon as they lob projectiles away. At the end of the day, that Cargonet will go down without very much point. Dargan. Me sees Dargans in the sky. I wonder how to train it. I know the live action's coming out very shortly. Any How to Train Your Dragon fans in the chat? Certainly one of my favorite animated series of all time. I'll say Dragon, How to Train Your Dragons 2 was probably my favorite. 1 was great. 2 was basically perfect as far as I consider animated movies. And 3 kind of let me down. I won't lie. Kind of let me down. It was bittersweet. Still are in losing connection right here. The blue team's still trying to hold on. A little bit of an overextension right here by the red forces. They do move in. Feels like we're kind of just planning for... Well, we have attack missile heading out, so we're planning for something. Where is this going? Okay. That mountain never saw it coming. You have a little bit of a rebuild over here going on, by the way. Always cute to see one of these. If you ever see a commander like that, be sure to give him at the very least a bunch of constructors. Best case scenario, you give him a metal extractor or something. 1 T2 metal extractor is really all it takes to rebuild from that. Full fusion eco-scaling here from the orange commander. Okay. Not bad. In fact, I like it a lot. Red commander still building units out of the T2 lab. Bunch of air power as well. Do we have any kind of eco-scaling back here? We do. We have a fusion reactor up and running and loads of solar panels. These all need to be eaten up. We take just the red solar panels right now. You can see that's about, well, a couple more. It's about 6,600 metal worth of T1 solar panels. Yikes. We really need to get some anti-air in the mix here. Making the poor air player trade out their fighters in order to keep your airspace clear. Not ideal whatsoever. Karganeth in the mix here with this largely resurrected army here for the Orange Commander. That's quite nice. That works out well because it means you didn't actually pay for basically any of this. It means this trade is effectively free. T3 is on the field, though. I mean, these Razorbacks are going to do great work. Loads of shielding here, too, so I don't think Sheldon or Shiva are ever going to be able to penetrate the shield. Means we need to go for something a little bit more laser or missile powered. Shiva over here facing no such issue. Missiles launched away over and over again. We need to spread here. The Fat Boys' major effect is that they don't have AoE damage fall off. So basically, they do just as much damage on the edge of their explosion as they do in the center of their explosion. It means that particularly against Fat Boys, you really got to be careful about spreading your units out, or making sure to spread your units out as much as possible. Maroon base in loads of trouble here, though. Production limited to T1 at this point as the build power begins to fall. The missiles are away. The green army encroaches on the southern neighbor of the yellow tribe and the northern neighbor of the pink. And the salt mining begins. It's beautiful. It truly is beautiful, and it's horrible. I will no longer ignore the toxicity in this game. If I ever see somebody being toxic out here in chat, I'm definitely going to call it out. I urge you to as well. This is not a call for people to bully people. But if you see someone being toxic in chat, feel free to point it out in the comments. I'll probably like it. I might even pin it. Because I love to see it. I love to hate to see it. Watch the replay, they say. Well, here you are. Watching it right alongside me here. Oh, Brantine in position to do the funniest thing ever. Oh, that commander didn't stand a chance. Yeah, that demon roasted that commander quick, and not to mention all the Shiva projectiles basically all firing simultaneously right there. Scorpion turret not going to last long either, as the Shiva now have free reign to do what they'd like with the base here of the Hot Pink Commanders. Already tapped out of the game, and at this point is basically just a skeleton crew. Nice to not throw away all the units here with the Aphis going down. There's not really any reason to. Shiva can outrange all that, so we'll just sit back, relax, and enjoy. Well, okay, the demon goes down, but the Shiva stay up and standing. And we'll enjoy here as the Hot Pink base falls as well. More and more bases in trouble right here as we move southward, and the yellow commander is pinned in on the northern side. What a tricky situation, but that is not really any static defense. It's basically just a bunch of wind turbines with some anti-air bots strewn into the mix. And suddenly, Karganeth, Shiva, all the rest of it, they're going to have a field day tearing this apart. Or not. I was quite expecting here to see this base blown to smithereens, but it turns out we're a little bit afraid of this base, perhaps. Sheldon's maybe appropriately afraid. This giant T3 army, though, absolutely no reason. We've got effectively eco left. We've got eco left on this wonderful northern side, and apparently we are too scared to push in. Those fusion reactors just too explosive. Yeah. Giant green army moving in here as well. We have the red wind turbines chain reacting here as they are 3 wide, which is the critical mass for them to start chain reacting. We also have the pawns moving in to do a bunch of damage, and the welders stepping up as well to try and blast apart any of this base that they can. Sharpshooters doing their best here. Karganeth now firing away into the distance, and it is game over. Beautiful stuff right there from the green commanders, who both realized, hey, wait a second, there's nobody in our lane contesting us. We may as well just push through for the win, and using those T3 units to the best of their abilities, managed to do just that. And we arrive here at the situation that we are in. The yellow base in shambles. As we have another epic guitar riff. Hold on. I know you can't see me, there's no face cam, but if you could, headbang all the way. 10,000%. Yeah, I'm absolutely loving the new soundtrack here, and I sure hope you are too. The red team throws in the towel after realizing the inevitability of their futile rebellion. The blue heroes, or the blue villains, have managed to reclaim the entire map here with their haunting prowess in this wonderful game of Beyond All Reason. Thanks a ton for watching, folks. If you did enjoy, of course, hitting that like button helps me a whole bunch, but it also helps Bar a whole bunch, so I sure hope you'll consider, as well as subscribing to join the Brightworks community. Check out the Discord, check out the links below, and I sure hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Peace out, everybody.